let me try to, the National Intelligence report, or when we did worldwide threats last year, the document that comes out with that, still included, this was the Trump administration, their last major report on this, still included, we are concerned about, election threats from China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and potentially others. And with AI tools, the threats grow more complicated all the time. It makes what happened in 2016 look like child's play. But right now, I'm more concerned about domestic interference. I'm concerned about a president that hasn't read the Constitution. I'm concerned about efforts to intimidate voters, whether it be ICE roving patrols, or whether it be these kind of claims that are brought. I'm concerned about the fact that I think in many states I've seen upwards of 50% of the election officials, who are all nonpartisan, have quit or retired, mostly because of some of the threats, online threats and doxing that's taken place. So yeah, I'm very concerned about domestic interference as well as foreign interference. And the ability then for a foreign entity to amplify these divisions or spread lies, that is, that's much easier now. Remember in 2016, Russia had to create fake identities to say crazy stuff and then amplify it. You don't need to create fake identities now. You can simply promote some of the theories that come out of folks in this administration. Please.
A few questions. One, to clarify, what setting will the whistleblower complaint be made available in? Will that be brief? Will that just be made available to the Gang of Eight?
I believe it is only the Gang of Eight, and I don't know the setting yet. But we'll have information on that over the next 30 seconds.
Further detail on the extent of the DNI's involvement in this investigation, just what's been said publicly, or to what extent actually the IC is now involved in this investigation?
We had no indication. We get I'm not sure we've had any of the letters we've actually even written the DNI ever responded to over the last year. There may be one or two. So, but, I can tell you this much, that our contacts within the FBI said they were as surprised as anybody her showing up and skulking around. Go back to what I said. The DNI has no domestic criminal investigation responsibilities. Her job is to look at foreign interference in our elections. And this whole effort is the opposite of transparent. Here and here.
On that point exactly, there seems to be a wide discrepancy between what you're describing and what Director Batson described in her letter with a mandate of foreign and domestic involvement in election security. Could you explain more for people who follow this very closely why it is that it's only foreign concerns that fall under this?
It goes back to the laws that created the whole intelligence oversight structure. It goes back to the National Security Act that was passed after President Nixon. It goes back to entities that were at least connected with the intelligence community involved in this little breakout called Watergate. And there was the whole notion that we need to make clear that our intelligence operations are outward-looking, and America don't need to worry about those agencies looking at them. It's one of the components we go through regularly when we debate Section 702. It is the job of the FBI to look into that. And for her to show up, and the hypocrisy of her showing up, after this administration had done more to dismantle the election protections put in place, the FBI's Foreign Malign Influence Center, the law that was passed, I believe in 2019, that created in the Office of Director of National Intelligence a Foreign Malign Influence Center. If you're concerned about election security, you would beef that up. You wouldn't dismantle it. The number of folks that have been let go from CISA, in terms of cybersecurity protections, they work again, the fact that the 2020 election came off cleanly because many of the things that were put in place obviously cost Chris Krebs his job when he was head of CISA and said this was a clean election, but everything since that time has validated that. This seems, again, about Donald Trump's obsession. He lost in Georgia. He lost in 2020. the fact that he can't get that out of his head, and whether he is directing this investigation, it sure as heck appears that shouldn't he have more to do than talking to the FBI agents who are on the front line of serving a search warrant.
On this effort to nationalize elections, have you heard anything to indicate that it would be appropriate for states to hand over voter rolls, and would that do anything to increase elections?
It is. Not only would it not be appropriate, I believe it would be, to the extent almost of a constitutional violation. The Constitution is clear that elections are the gambit of the state and localities. And the irony here is that, and this is the hypocrisy of the moment, there were many states, every one of them Republican-led, that were concerned about when CISA tried to help put better cybersecurity protections in, it was called the Albert system. States were concerned, all Republican-led, or localities Republican-led, said, oh my God, this would be letting the feds into our purview. So this is, again, Alice in Wonderland world, where up is down and down is up. The idea that you've got a Republican president saying, no, trust the feds on all this election, it is both against the Constitution and it's against the position of every Republican elected official from 20 through, I'd even say 2025. We'll see. I'm not sure many of them have yet responded. I'll be anxious to see whether any of them said, oh, no, we want to turn it all over to the feds.
Yeah, on that note, traditionally intel is one of the more bipartisan issues in this chamber. We know how often you work across the aisle and speak with your colleagues on the Republican side. Do they share your concerns?
So I think, I've talked to Senator Cotton. We have a good working relationship. I think, we are going to get Gabbard testify, I believe, within the next few weeks about the worldwide threats hearing, unless she pulls out the same way she was supposed to talk to the election officials last Friday and then abruptly pulled out. And I can assure you the history the Intelligence Committee had of working bipartisanly and to monitor election security is going to continue this year. Please.
Hi, sir. On the whistleblower complaint, do you have confidence in Inspector General Fox, who the Senate confirmed in October? He is supposed to be responsible for the process of delivering this complaint to Congress. Is that any concern that you had?
It greatly concerns me that it took 6 months of bipartisan pressure to get what I think was supposed to be, and Eric helped me on this, was supposed to be delivered within 14 days. How long is it before a complaint is supposed to be delivered?
14 days review and another 7 to deliver.
Okay. So whether it's 21 days, we'll give it a month. But it took 6 months of bipartisan pressure to get the document that we should have seen months ago.
What finally changed, or when did that change that you now know?
I got notified just over the last